Hello and welcome to a brand new edition of our daily news program, coming up shortly. The President of the Republic receives the Nigerian Minister in charge of petroleum resources and the Nigerian oil minister taking part in the ministerial meeting devoted to the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline. The President of the Republic receives the Chairman of the Oman Investment Authority, Abdussalam bin Mohammed Al-Murshidi, and the delegation accompanying him. And on the 7th day of his official visit to India, the Army General Sayed Shangri-Ha, Minister Delegate to the Defense National Ministry, Minister and the PNA Chief of Staff, takes part in the 2025 Defense Ministers' meeting. And several agreements are signed by Algeria, Niger and Nigeria to speed up the implementation of the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline towards the European and international markets. Welcome again. As we mentioned in the headlines, the President of the Republic received today Ekpe Rekpe Ekpo, the State Minister in charge of oil resources of Nigeria, as well as Sahabi Umaru, Petroleum Minister of the Nigerian Republic. These took place in the presence of the Principal Private Secretary of the Presidency, Mohammed Arqab of the Republic, Mohammed Arqab, State Minister, and the Minister of Renewable Energies, and Rashid Hashishi, CEO of Sonatrach. Let's have a listen now to the statement made by the Nigerian State Minister in charge of oil resources.
We've been in Algeria to deliberate on the Trans-Sahara gas pipeline project, which started some years ago. Today, based on the recommendation of the task force, we have taken some resolutions and confirmed that we should proceed with the project. And after that, we are here in the office of the President to brief him of all what we have done. There is no going back. And for me, I'm here with the EVP gas of NNPC, which is the Nigerian National Oil Company that will be taking the front lead for us in the transaction. And I have the Niger counterpart here and the Algerian, the host. So it's been a wonderful deliberation, and we have the blessings of the President that this project should go ahead for the good of the three countries as well as the continent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now the statement made by the Petroleum Minister of Niger.
We have been received by the President of the Republic. We have updated him of the conclusions that we have reached this morning. We have signed the basic documents that would help the implementation of this common project between Algeria, Niger and Nigeria. We have now a tool that would spearhead this project. So every country is committed to implement swiftly this integration project, so useful to our peoples. Thank you very much.
A souvenir photo was then taken on the occasion. Another meeting took place at the Presidency, where the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, received Abdussalam bin Mohammed Al-Murshidi, President of the Oman Investment Authority, along with his accompanying delegation. The meeting was attended on the Algerian side by Boualem Boualem, Principal Private Secretary at the Presidency, Youssef Sharfa, Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, Minister of Health Abdelhaq Saihi, and Omar Kirkash, General Director of the Algerian Investment Promotion Agency. Representing Oman were Dr. Saeed bin Hamoud Al-Habsi, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources, Dr. Hilal bin As-Sabti, Minister of Health, and bin Nasser Al-Baddai, Ambassador of the Sultanate of Oman to Algeria. Following the audience, the Chairman of the Oman Investment Authority had this to say to our reporter.
شرفنا بمقابلة فخامة الرئيس الجزائري الذي أبدى كل ترحيبه بجميع أوجه التعاون بين سلطنة عمان والجزائر في مختلف.
We had the honor to meet the Algerian president, who hailed all forms of cooperation between Oman and Algeria in all sectors. We were delighted to notice that he is aware of all the common files and displayed his support to ensure the success of these common projects. We look forward to updating in the coming weeks and months these projects, notably in terms of food security and pharmaceutical industry.
وهي قطاع الأمن الغذائي وقطاع الصناعات الدوائية.
On the seventh day of his official visit to the Republic of India, the Army General Sachin Griha, Minister Delegate to the Minister of National Defense, Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, participated today in the meeting of the Ministers of Defense. Letizia Sidqawi with the details.
On the occasion of this meeting, the Army General delivered an address in which he thanked the Indian authorities for the kind invitation extended to him to participate in this high-level meeting and praised the sincere will of the Republic of India to strengthen its relations with its friends and partners, adding that this meeting constitutes an opportunity for dialogue and exchange of views and forward-looking visions on issues related to international security.
بالفعل يترجم هذا الاجتماع الذي يتناول موضوعا بالغ الأهمية الإرادة الصادقة لجمهورية الهند في تعزيز علاقاتها مع أصدقائها وشركائها، كما يشكل فرصة للحوار وتبادل وجهات النظر والتصورات الاستشرافية حول المواضيع ذات الصلة بالأمن الدولي.
The Army General also stressed that the security challenges facing our world today require everyone to strengthen multilateral cooperation and joint efforts in order to contribute to consolidating the values of peace and sustainable development, as well as building a more secure, stable and prosperous world.
أن التحديات الأمنية التي تواجه عالمنا اليوم تتطلب منا تعزيز التعاون متعدد الأطراف وتضافر الجهود من أجل المساهمة في ترسيخ قيم السلم والتنمية المستدامة وكذا بناء عالم أكثر أمنا واستقرارا ورخاء.
Then the Army General took a group photo with the defense ministers taking part in this important meeting. Later on, Army General Sachin Griha, Minister Delegate to the Minister of National Defense and Chief of Staff of the PNA, held talks with Army General Anil Chauhan, Chief of the Indian Defense Staff. This meeting is the second of its kind between the two military chiefs, reflecting the interest of the two countries in strengthening relations and expanding areas of cooperation. As the Army General expressed his gratitude to his Indian counterpart for the welcome he was granted during this visit, stressing that it was an opportunity to lay the foundations for military cooperation between the two countries. For his part, Army General Anil Chauhan expressed his happiness to receive Army General Sachin Griha, stressing his optimism that the talks would be translated into results to reflect the strong friendship between the two countries.
In a new development and on the eve of his participation in the African Union Executive Council session, Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad and the African Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, held bilateral meetings this Tuesday in Addis Ababa. He met with Somalia's Minister of State of Foreign Affairs, Ali Mohammed Omar, to discuss ways to strengthen bilateral relations. He also spoke with his Nigerian counterpart, Yusuf Togar, exchanging views on regional developments and efforts to advance integrative projects. Attaf further held talks with Tunisia's Foreign Minister, Mohamed Ali Nafti, to review the bilateral agenda and enhance cooperation. And a new continental project will transport natural gas from Nigeria to Niger through Algeria to eventually be exported to European markets and other international destinations. It is the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline, the achievement of which will be accelerated thanks to agreements signed today between the three countries here at the International Conferences Center. Yamina Seiji and Letizia Sidqawi.
The proceedings of the fourth ministerial meeting of the steering committee of the Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline project was devoted to examining the various aspects of this strategic project, while focusing on the progress made in implementing the roadmap adopted during the last meeting held in Abuja, stretching over more than 4,000 kilometers. This project is of a major importance for global energy security by connecting Africa's vast gas reserve to international markets. Algeria's commitment to implement this project and mobilizing necessary efforts to create a favorable atmosphere for its success, in accordance with the directives of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, who stressed the attachment of Algeria to African cooperation and reinforcing a strategic partnership in energy. Algeria, Nigeria and Niger have signed agreements to accelerate the implementation of the Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline project. An update of the feasibility study, a compensation contract and a non-disclosure agreement between the energy companies of the three countries. The report of the special committee has been approved, leading to the renewal of the contract meant to update the study related to achieving the Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline that will deliver Nigerian gas via Niger and Algeria towards European markets.
Starting from today, we move to action to implement all the projects pertaining to this mega project.
The Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline project aims to open a new export route for African gas, strengthen and develop the economies and energy capacities of the three countries, while contributing to the global security energy and diversifying natural gas resources.
To Algerian Omani cooperation now, Algeria's Ministry of Agriculture held a working session with a delegation from Oman to boost bilateral cooperation. The meeting was attended by Minister Youssef Shorfa, Oman Investment Authority President Abdul Salam bin Mohammed Al-Marshidi, the Omani Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries Masoud bin Hamoud Al-Habsi, and Minister of Health Hilal bin As-Sibti. This meeting marked the first step in implementing the 2024 recommendations from President Tebboun's visit to Oman. The discussions focused on enhancing investment in strategic agriculture and fisheries. Still with the cooperation framework between Algeria and Oman, this meeting between the Health Minister Abdelhaq Saihi and his Omani counterpart Dr. Hilal bin Ali As-Sibti allowed both parties to evoke ways and means to strengthen cooperation opportunities between the two countries in the health and pharmaceutical industry sectors. And this working session, which kicked off this Tuesday in Algiers, bringing together Omar Rakkash, General Director of the Algerian Investment Promotion Agency, and Abdul Salam bin Mohammed Al-Marshidi, President of the Oman Investment Authorities, along with officials from both countries. The meeting aimed to explore investment opportunities in Algeria, particularly in agriculture and the pharmaceutical industry. And now, coming up in our news. Popular wrath continues unabated in Morocco, with several huge demonstrations held across the national territory. Welcome again, everyone. Facing a bankrupt system and a worsening socio-economic crisis, Moroccans are taking to the streets to demand justice, dignity and profound reforms. Despite heavy security, the protesters remain steadfast, rejecting corruption and calling for the protection of whistleblowers and their right to shape their own future. More details with Melissa Lila Bilaman.
The social discontent in Morocco continues unabated after a general strike that has paralyzed the economy of the country that was already deplorable. In Marrakesh, thousands of protesters swamped the streets to denounce the decline in purchasing power, the low wages, the corruption that took over, and the looting of public funds.
Our leaders and decision makers only care about preserving their control over the country, accumulating wealth, and serve their personal interests. Restoring hope to Moroccans and their trust in the future requires a fight against corruption, fraud, undue privileges, and impunity by judging the perpetrators of embezzlement of public funds.
Moroccans chanted slogans denouncing injustice and demanding that the corrupt be judged and that whistleblowers be protected against reprisals.
We know our rights. We have the right to decide our future, even if they want us to believe otherwise. We're not going anywhere. This is our country. Our presence is very important today. We must keep fighting for our rights. We must stick together.
The protesters were surrounded by heavy security, but they could not halt their advance. This mobilization reflects the deep dissatisfaction with the disastrous socio-economic situation caused by the policies of the Makhzen deemed to be bankrupt. Through these gatherings, Moroccans expressed their clear rejection of the system in place while demanding dignity and social justice.
The Sahrawi people also face repression and arbitrary arrests under the Moroccan occupation. In response to these injustices, international mobilization for freedom and human rights is growing stronger by the day. Melissa Lila Belaman once again.
In the face of successive failures and widespread frustration, the Moroccan occupier resorts to kidnappings and arbitrary arrests to silence the voices of the Sahrawi human rights activists and defenders.
Men and women have sacrificed themselves for the liberation of Western Sahara.
From occupied Dakhla rises the voice of the Gharishi family, alongside those of thousands of other Sahrawi families who have no news of their missing loved ones. During this massive demonstration, the family demands that the occupying authorities unveil the fate of Lhbib Gharishi, who has been missing for over 3 years. Our son was kidnapped in February 2022. We used this platform to call on the international community to urgently intervene and put an end to the suffering of the Sahrawi people in the occupied territories. The Moroccan occupier continues its assassinations, kidnappings and imprisonment of Sahrawi activists. Among the latest cases are those of Hassan Al-Wali, Fattah Ahmed Zain and hundreds of others before them.
وقبلهم المئات والذي لم يكن آخر بالطبع لحبيب غريشي.
International support and solidarity with the Sahrawi cause continue to grow. Human rights defenders across the globe are working to expose the practices of the Moroccan occupier, which does everything it can to hide its crimes committed in the occupied territories. Our association stands in solidarity with the Sahrawis. We carry out humanitarian projects to support them. We call for the liberation of the occupied territories. Human rights organizations around the world continue to denounce the crimes of kidnappings and enforce disappearances perpetrated by the Moroccan regime to end the impunity it has enjoyed for more than 5 decades.
And amid ceasefire violations in Palestine, the Zionist occupation forces shot and killed a Palestinian and critically injured another on Tuesday in Rafah, southern Gaza. Hamas accused the Zionist entity of violating the ceasefire by delaying displaced Palestinians' return, targeting civilians and obstructing aid. The WHO urged sustained humanitarian access, warning of rising malnutrition and famine risk in Gaza. To sports now, ASO Schleff defeated the visiting side of Parado with 2-0 as part of the National Football Championship, while ESCTF sustained a 1-0 setback versus MCL Bayed. Following this result, ASO Schleff joined Parado in the 5th rank with 23 points. As for ESCTF and MCL Bayed, they are ranking respectively 8th and 9th.
يعود ويقوم بالواجبات الدفاعية الأرضية وبوستر والكرة ما زالت التسديدة. أول دفعة المباراة لمصلحة نادي مولودية البيض بعدما انتهى.
And with that, our today's news edition comes to a close. Thank you for tuning in.